Our job is to do the research, but then also to translate it for the wider population so that it becomes useful for people in how they understand themselves in the society, and hopefully that it also becomes useful for policymakers in the wider sort of government and society too.
People still continue to see social work as this one-to-one kind of handout, charity-oriented work. But we want to push forward social work intervention at the policy-making level.
At this university, social work is about improving the social functioning of individuals, so that you'll find that a lot of my research is actually linked to social functioning and improving the general well-being of society.
We are educating professionals, we're educating practitioners, people who will deliver, we hope, effective services. When it comes to the work that we did on HIV, we brought a practitioner from South Africa to work with us for 6 months to talk about things like empowerment and disclosure and how to facilitate those things as professionals. How do we challenge our own stigma and discriminatory thoughts? The HIV work has really brought some depth of understanding of the similarities across the globe.
So currently I'm working on a militarization of everyday life in Trinidad, and that's really looking at the sort of minute everyday things people do, how they dress, how they move, how they socialize. One of the interesting areas that I've been working with is with families who live in Mova and Laventil, and talking to the grandparents, the children, and various members of the family to understand their experiences of this militarization, how it's affected the everyday behaviors, language, things that they can do, the ways they can move around in their community and talk to each other.
Looking at the perception of murder in communities such as Belmont, well, one of the findings of the research was that there was need for a greater sense of community to bring members of the community together.
Gender is a very difficult concept to understand because everyone has a gender and everyone assumes that they know what it is. But it really is about deconstructing and understanding how our masculinity or femininity creates areas that allow for discrimination.
Our research must, however, translate into outreach because outreach is our responsibility to our public, our constituencies.
The Break the Silence project was really part of a larger research theme on gender, sexuality, and the implications for HIV. And I think when we began, we never knew we'd be looking at the topic of child sexual abuse and incest. We really wanted a broader kind of anthropological understanding of the phenomena. We always had the traditional academic approach, we'll do the research and then we'll do the outreach. But as part of the project, I remember doing a workshop in Tobago where people said, no, we cannot wait for you to finish this research. We need you to start now. So that was one of the reasons why the campaign began alongside the research. And it was a very innovative action research model where we actually carried out interventions based on the needs of the community. As part of our research, we did a study of media responses, the print media, at the start of our study. So there's been an increase in reporting in persons actually being brought before the court and being charged, and there's a lot more visibility and awareness than there was before. So in a way, we have broken the silence.
At IGDS, we just concluded a project called Politics, Power and Gender Justice. It was a regional project in fitting with the goals of IGDS to do regional feminist research, in fact looking at 5 different Caribbean countries and doing a comparison of strategies such as women's political leadership, national gender policies, and even electoral quota systems as a way of creating greater gender justice.
Currently, we have a 3-year ongoing project that is jointly funded between Atlantic and IDB. This is an intervention type project that focuses on infusing local economic development principles into the development strategies of the Southwest Peninsula of Trinidad.
We haven't forgotten the youths. It's all about developing youths through life skills training. We have been using a tool called Sports for Development, which is an AGANA program.
In 2012, we started off training 131 persons in small business principles. In 2014, 40 of them have remained with us throughout the process. And these 40 now have well-developed, bankable business plans.
We have seen tremendous success with regards to partnership. And there's so many institutions and organizations, CARILED being one of them, the Ministry of Planning and Sustainable Development being another, willing to partner to change the quality of lives.
If I told you that in the Caribbean, migrants sent back $7.7 billion in 2010 back to their home countries.
So we intend to look at both the development impact of remittances and also the political dimensions.
And we think that these large flows of funds back to Caribbean countries are having economic effects on these economies. We know that remittances are affecting people's lives in many different positive ways, and what that result seems to suggest to us is that we really haven't tapped into the developmental potential of remittances yet. And our research hopes to place an impact, to make an impact there, figure out why it's not causing growth, and help policies, direct policies, to help remittances achieve growth. Now, this whole issue of remittances is a mirror image, really, of a larger issue, which is migration. The more migration you have, the more remittances you have flowing back, all things considered, to developing countries.
Remittances usually augment household disposable income. So the implication of that is to make recipients economically independent. And once recipients are economically independent, the implication is to wean themselves or to hold their representatives accountable to uphold democratic institutions.
We did a huge study a couple of years ago on integration, and one of the things we tried to impact is policymakers, to impact politicians, to improve the kind of integration process that's taking place within CARICOM. Because we have such a good relationship with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so Minister Dukaran has given us a lot of support recently to launch our journal. So he helped us establish the Caribbean Journal of International Relations and Diplomacy.
So we've had a lot of success actually producing some outstanding researchers and scholars who have gone on to bigger and better things across the globe actually. We've seen leaders in the region coming through the program, and actually being very proud of the fact that there are alumni of the Institute of International Relations. Some of them are ministers of government. Some of them go on to become leaders within international organizations.
My work broadly is on the political economy of development. So I'm interested in general economic, social, political development, political systems, regional integration, and I do quite a lot of work on the French Caribbean as well. How many sections of Caribbean society either have drugs, broadly speaking, as either something they produce to earn money, or they use drugs, or they are involved in the traffic of drugs, or regulating them or something. These are all issues that affect us, I think. Before he passed away, Norman Girvan had this idea where he talked about the Caribbean facing existential threats. And I think that the research agenda for us going forward has to be to look at the very serious challenges we face. Debt, climate change, organised crime, deterioration in a lot of our political systems, and the real crisis in the integration process. They're the five, just off my head, the main issues that we need to think about going forward in terms of development in the Caribbean.